planted our feet on the floor for most of us, and we're going to see what we can get up and do with this gorgeous day today. Today is Wednesday. It's just a couple of more days, and we're going to have a big, big, big election. That election is Saturday. Saturday. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. The election is Saturday. So that is, there are elections in other parts of the state, but I don't think there's anywhere in all 64 parishes of Louisiana that we have an election as big as this one. Early voting closed on October 4th, and we had a historic turnout with early voting. Close to 39,000 people, more than 38,000 people, close to 39,000 people were part of that early voting. And by way of clarification, when we talk about early voting, those are the ballots that come in as a result of people going to early voting polling locations and also absentee ballots that come in. So those are the votes that we had, and that is a huge, huge, huge increase over the 2017 competitive mayoral election and other elections that we had at that time. So just that is a really good sign. We want to keep up the momentum, keep up the interest, keep up the engagement, because that's about 15% of the voters who have come out for early voting, and that's good. That's good, but 20, 25%, 30%, 50% would be much better. One day, one day, one day, maybe we'll hit 95% voter participation. But let's be thankful for all of you who went out and voted early, got to your polling places, and you took care of your voting duty and responsibility to be a part of that number, historic number. My hope is that the next time around that we'll be talking about this as a puny number of nearly 39,000, because we'll have somewhere like 50,000 people voting early. But it's too late to vote early, but it is not too late to vote. And that means Saturday, you can get out to your regular voting polling locations and cast your ballots. So you can cast your ballots for mayor, for a couple of city council at large positions, for city council district representatives in A, in C, in D, and in E. Of course, Leslie Harris, City Council member for District B, does not have a challenger. But she would still appreciate your vote, I'm sure, because her name is on the ballot. And in A, that seat is the seat currently held by City Council member Joe Giarrusso, and there are multiple challengers running to replace him. And boy, are they out there mixing it up and campaigning. They've got their spots, some on television and social media, and signs all around. And there are a lot of people being engaged with that. I'm very excited and interested to see what that turnout looks like for someone to be the successor to Councilman Joe Giarrusso. Of course, one of the big questions is whether there will be a runoff or whether someone has done such a good job during this campaign season to be his successor outright with the election results on Saturday night. And of course, we also have in District C, Councilman Freddie King is the incumbent, and he wants to retain his seat. And he's got challengers who are out and about trying to make sure that they give District C residents, voters, an opportunity to have an alternative to council member that seat and run for mayor. So that is an open seat, and we've got quite the gaggle of candidates running for that seat, that open seat. And one of the candidates is Cindy Wayne, who was saying reelect her. It's not doesn't mean that she's the incumbent. It means that she was the council representative prior to Oliver Thomas, and she would like to return to her seat. So Ms. Christmas, Jason Hughes, State Representative Jason Hughes, Willie Morgan, and a number of other folks want that seat. And so that's probably one of the seats where, depending on how the vote breaks down, it's very likely that there could be a runoff. We also have the opportunity to determine whether Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson should remain as our sheriff. And we have challenges, including former police chief Michelle Woodfolk and Constable Ed Shorty, challenging her. And I think Julian Parker is still in that race. And of course, Bob Murray is in that race as well. So you will determine with your vote whether Susan Hudson continues as sheriff to do the work that she wants to build upon in a second term, or if it will be a new day for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office and we will elect someone new or have a runoff. And of course, Errol Williams is running for another term as assessor, and he has challengers. And we have Darren Lombard, who is in a hotly contested race with Mr. Duncan. And they've been in the news in recent days over the status of Mr. Duncan's exoneration or clearance. And that's gone to courts. Now, Darren Lombard has since withdrawn that filing. So that seems to take that issue off of the table, and it's a matter of considering those couple of candidates. So we've got quite a number of things to consider, and don't forget the ballot measure as well, so that we can, maybe there's some of you who are opposed to it, but the idea is that it would remove a box that folks have to check if they have previously been convicted to indicate that they were when they're trying to change their lives and turn their lives around and do some good for themselves, their families, and their communities. So Election Day is Saturday, and you want to make a plan to get out there. Not sure exactly what the weather will be like, but whatever the weather is, if you have not voted, it is your duty and your obligation to get out there and vote. So I hope you will do that and make a plan. If you've already voted, make a plan with those that you love and live with, and those that you work with, church members. Make sure that everybody has a chance to weigh in on this important election. We've got a number of things that have happened in the news. Of course, the government shutdown is continuing, and seems like there's not any significant talks going on between Republicans and Democrats, but we are continue to feel the impact as we have a number of airports with troubles with air traffic controllers. So that is a problem for those of us who travel regularly, and definitely a problem for those of us who travel periodically. So that essentially, we have flight traffic controllers who are being told they have to work and not be paid, and it's already a very stressful job. So, how would you feel if you had a job, you told you're an essential employee, and not essential and stay at home and file some reports or read a few things, but to be in a tower to help control the traffic of thousands and thousands of airplanes and jets to make sure that they don't have crashes or near misses. But you would continue to work and not be paid on your regular cycle. And in fact, just in the last couple of days, the president said he's looking into the possibility that the federal government would not have to pay back pay for the people who are being told they have to continue to work. So this government shutdown is affecting us in all kinds of ways, and this basically goes back to the Congress failing to pass spending bills for the 2026 fiscal year. The Republicans don't have enough votes in the Senate. The Congress has passed a continuing resolutions, but the Senate does not have enough votes. So Democrats and Republicans are at a stalemate as Democrats demand an extension of health care tax credits. And Republicans say we want a clean, continuing resolution at the current spending levels. And let's do that, take care of that action, reopen the government, and then continue to have conversations about what we do about health care tax credits and health care generally. So a lot of this has more to do with healthcare than the actual budget because we've got competing proposals about uh, how the government should operate. But the Senate needs 60 votes to be able to reopen the government, and they don't have the votes. Now, meanwhile, the president was during his previous administration. He's the one who said that federal government employees should get back pay when we were facing government shutdowns before, and that was back in 2019. And now he's reversing himself and saying, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we don't need to pay people back pay if they're working for you and me. But, I have not heard the president say that he's going to shut down his activities in terms of payment and continue doing the job 24/7, 365, and that he's going to forego any of his pay. And I haven't heard any of the U.S. senators or the congresspeople saying that they're going to forego their pay. But yet they want thousands and thousands of federal employees who have been furloughed. More than 750,000 federal employees have been furloughed, and then some of those are essential services workers. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch as we continue to follow the news and see what else is going to happen with government workers. And remember that government workers, federal government workers, include those who are in the state of Louisiana. We got somewhere, I think, between 30,000 to 40,000 federal workers who work in the state of Louisiana. Meanwhile, we're going to be looking at the update on the Karen Lason situation. The state police responded yesterday while we were on the air by releasing a video that they say provides a more complete picture. And you heard right here on WBOK's Good Morning Show, State Representative Edmund Jordan saying that video does not take away their request and their desire for a deep and thorough investigation of what actually happened. We've lost a talented young man, future NFL star. He was an LSU wide receiver, and he took his own life as a result of a crash that killed a 78-year-old man from Thibodeau. But it may not have been his fault. But those were the allegations. That's what he was accused of. Caused him not to have a start in his bright NFL future. And now he's gone, and looks like it may have been for naught. We've got a lot more coming up in the Good Morning Show today. We hope that you'll stay tuned. The talk line at WBOK 1230 AM is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And let me tell you, the chief is not sick. He has another gig that he's taking care of. And so he's out today. And I'm here with you, and I'd love to hear from you, 504-582-9422. Coming up after the break, we're going to hear from Allison Tuttle. She is Director of Catholic Charities of New Orleans, Project Save. And she's going to be talking to us about Domestic Violence Awareness Month and all the things that we should know and be aware of. Obviously, this is an important issue, something to pay attention to every day, every week, every month. But this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and she's going to join us shortly to talk about that. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. The banking industry is working hard to try to earn the trust of black households. Research from the McKinsey Institute for Black Economic Mobility shows that avoiding banks is costing black families money and could be a key contributor to the racial wealth gap. That's why firms like Greenwood could make a big difference. It's a black-owned financial institution helping to bring more black families into banking, and it's reinvesting in the black community. Ryan Glover is co-founder and chairman of Greenwood and talked to me about some of the creative ways his firm gives back.
When our members create an account through Greenwood, it provides essentially 5 meals to a food insecure family through Gooder. Each time you make a purchase, Greenwood rounds up the spare change to support HBCUs through the UNCF.
Glover's Greenwood co-founders are rapper and activist Killer Mike and former Atlanta mayor and U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Hey, this is Steve Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
I was talking with Lieutenant General Russell Honore the other day to get his take on the move by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and the president, who ordered 800 senior U.S. military leaders to Washington, D.C. for an unusual and unprecedented group meeting. These high-ranking men and women were flown in from all around the world, leaving their command posts for a mandatory meeting which, as it turns out, according to General Honore, could have just as easily been held via teleconference or simply shared by email. I watched the presentation by Hegseth and Trump in utter amazement. I was particularly troubled by Hegseth's suggestion that people of color were promoted on the basis of race and women were promoted based on their gender. That statement comes as no surprise, though, considering some 12 high-ranking military leaders have been fired since February, among them the Joint Chief of Staff Chairman General C.Q. Brown, a black man, and Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, a woman. Need I say more? Honore questions the notion that these people were fired because they were unqualified. The generals and admirals in the audience, with decades of experience, are the most highly trained and accomplished military leaders in the world, which cannot be said of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who only achieved the rank of major in the National Guard. He has not served a senior role in the military. He has no prior government experience. He has no record of national security policy, and he has never led a large organization, unlike the last 10 secretaries of defense. So, compared to the resumes of the senior military leaders in the room to whom he was lecturing, Hegseth doesn't amount to a pimple on a gnat's ass. As for the message from President Trump, which drew backlash from several retired military commanders, he suggested that perhaps some of the so-called troubled cities in the country could be used as military training grounds. Critics are calling Trump out for attempting to politicize the military in an effort to further his domestic agenda. Moreover, the president is flirting with the Constitution, in which the Founding Fathers never intended for the military to serve a political party. It is therefore established to be nonpartisan and directed at foreign enemies and not American citizens. The meeting was a waste of taxpayer money when the president knew full well we were headed for a government shutdown, and it was an insult to our top uniformed officers. So, before the president considers more ill-informed and politically motivated military moves, we pray that our military leaders remember their oath is to the U.S. Constitution, not the president. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree.
From the front porch, y'all. You know how we do every Monday. It's Moving Monday.
And Tuesday is Trivia Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to
all day long.
Sunday Gospel. I am Leo Jackson asking you to tune in every Sunday, 12 noon till 2 p.m. Feel the power of the Holy Spirit moving. Make you want to clap your hands, shout, cry out, glory, hallelujah. Don't miss this program, Sunday Gospel, 12 noon until 2 p.m. every Sunday. Station you listen to all day long.
Come on, let's have a good time. Come on, let's have a good time.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome to WBOK 1230 AM. You are listening to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK. It is 7:30 a.m. If you're not up and at 'em, you need to get going. If you got some place to go, especially if you're going to pay you a paycheck, then you might want to get up and get going. If you got to be there at 7:35, I hope it's on the other side of your house, your apartment, or someplace you got that laptop fired up and you got that phone ready to say, boss man, boss lady, I am here and I'm ready to go. I'm on top of things. But if you got somewhere to go and it's going to take you 15, 20 minutes, hopefully you're well on your way to being presentable and you know where your keys are and you know where your things are. If you got a favorite beverage, adult or otherwise, hopefully you will know where it is and be ready to get out there. But please, 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 as always, be safe. Be safe. Drive safely. Pay attention to the speed limit. And it is school days, so pay attention to the babies. Pay attention to the babies. So speaking of babies, we've got Allison Tuttle here. She's Director of Catholic Charities of New Orleans, Project SAVE. And we're going to be talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so often we have a lot of people who they're aware that this happens, but they're not aware of the layers. They're not aware of the complications for this. And so they make some assumptions about what can happen, should be happening, that kind of thing. So welcome to the Good Morning Show, Ms.
Hi.
Tuttle.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we like to start with a little self-intro. So what I'm going to ask you to do is tell us, who's your mama and them? Where are you from?
I'm from here.
Okay. What part? Where you go to high school?
Yes. Born and raised here. Went to Sacred Heart. Went to.
All right, Sacred Heart. Okay. I know some folks went to Sacred Heart. All right.
Went to college in Memphis and then came back and went to Loyola Law School. So I've been here ever since. And I have devoted my legal career to working with Project SAVE at Catholic Charities, representing victims of domestic violence in civil court. So it's an issue that's very near and dear to my heart and something that we appreciate you letting us come here to talk about.
Absolutely. How long have you been with Catholic Charities?
25 years. It's hard to believe, but
Wonderful.
25 years. So it's been a good fit.
All right. And what about Project SAVE? How long has that?
Project SAVE has been in existence probably about 35 years. It's had some different iterations. It hasn't always been exactly the legal services it is today. Right now, we have 2 attorneys who represent clients, like I said, in Orleans Parish Civil District Court, and we represent clients for restraining orders and protective orders. So that's an important piece of the puzzle. You were kind of talking about the challenges of leaving relationships involving domestic violence.
Right.
So it takes a lot of help and planning, and we help provide that legal piece.
You know, one of the things that I've found in my life, because I've known folks who have operated on multiple sides of this issue, put it that way. And it's always disconcerting to me and painful to me about what I can do and what I can't do. But one of the things I find is that so often people aren't sure what domestic violence is.
Yes.
What is domestic violence?
So domestic violence is really about power and control. It's about one person in a relationship really systematically trying to gain control over the other person. That can be through verbal abuse. That can be through physical abuse, which is what we typically think of with domestic abuse. It can be psychological. It can be financial. And it usually doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process. You know, maybe the person at first, they're very attentive. They give you a lot of attention, but that can sometimes morph into, well, I'm going to keep tabs on you. I'm going to control who you're talking to, who you're hanging out with, which kind of leads to isolation. And then maybe gradually it progresses from verbal abuse to physical abuse. And by that point, maybe that victim feels trapped. Maybe they have children, maybe they don't have financial means to leave. Fear, of course, there are a lot of threats. If you call the police, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to hurt the children, I'm going to hurt your family. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, but it's usually not an isolated incident.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually not rooted in, anger management. It's more of a systemic problem about power and control.
So, does domestic abuse always include physical violence?
No, not necessarily. Like I said, it could be the verbal abuse, calling you names, putting you down.
So as somebody who's not
Mhm.
a part of the domestic violence, not a victim or the person doing the abuse, how can some of us recognize something that is not a punch?
Sure.
That is not pulling a gun. And you're at maybe a family gathering or even a church event or something, and you think it's a little strange, but you don't want to call it domestic violence, but
Right.
you think something's off.
Right. So, in the big picture of domestic abuse, there are some red flags. That could be extreme jealousy. That could be name calling. That could be explosive anger. We hear a lot of, and I'm going to say he, but it could be he or she, he gets angry and he's driving erratically. Like I said, isolation is a big part of it because they don't want you to have access to your friends and family member who may help you get out of the relationship or help you recognize, there's a problem here. It could be there's a lot going on with social media and technology, tracking people, putting trackers on their car, looking at someone's phone. And like I said, sometimes it can start off as like, oh, this is sweet. He wants to be with me all the time. He doesn't want me to be around other men or, whatever the case may be. But then it progresses and it gets to the point like, well, actually, he's doing this to try to control me. Maybe they don't want you to work. Maybe they take your paycheck. Our legal services are free. And we don't have income guidelines because we know that financial abuse can also be a big issue. So, on paper, somebody might have money, but we've had cases where the client hasn't had access to their checking account. And if they work, they have to give their partner, their paycheck every week. So financial abuse can be a big part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with some situations that I've been familiar with, there have been, I'll say, partners who, for years, have had access to money and resources, and have some very fine clothes and
Yes.
cars and tremendous access to some everything. But somewhere along the line, something changed. So they have those things around them,
Right.
and they're with them, but there's something else going on that's unfortunate, in my opinion, unforgivable. But
Right. And it might start off with, well, let me help just take care of the bills, and that's fine. If that's the arrangement in your, relationship, that's fine. But when it comes to the point of you don't have access to that information, which can happen. I mean, we've had clients that they have no idea how much their mortgage is. They don't know what bank, they're even dealing with. And that's been a progression over their relationship where the other partner has gained that power. And again, I'm not saying this necessarily abuse. If that's your
right.
dynamic, that's okay if you want it to be, but everybody needs to know their own, financial situation and have that independence.
Now, am I overreacting if I'm at a gathering and there's a couple and he says, "Are you ready to go?" Versus I said, "We're leaving and we're leaving now."
Right.
Am I overreacting if I hear that second one?
I guess you'd have to really look at the context. Is there alcohol involved? Now, alcohol doesn't cause domestic violence. However, it can make it uh, more lethal or more serious. We know, just like drugs could do. It can make the situation worse. Um, I guess I would say, do you know this couple? How is the other partner reacting? Does he or she look frightened? Or, what happens if she says, no, I don't want to go? And then, of course, your real red flag, which is when you would want to intervene, is if it becomes physical. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to get involved. I mean, I understand, people think, oh, this is a private situation, or even in our, this day and age, you have to be careful just with violence in general and when you're trying to intervene. But, I would encourage people to try to intervene, because I've heard so many stories of clients saying, I was trying to get help. I was trying to call out for my neighbors or somebody on the street. And sometimes people do, but, unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to help, and that can become really serious.
So let's talk about some of the other ways that Project Save can help. It's good to hear that there's no income guidelines or income restrictions, because that removes a whole set of things that people might be concerned about. Oh, it doesn't mean me.
Right.
Right. So other than that, what
Sure.
else?
So we kind of see ourselves as like the emergency room. Like I said, we assist with temporary restraining orders and protective orders in civil court. So this isn't necessarily going through law enforcement or the criminal system. And the importance of this is we could help get someone, of course, we'd have to interview the person and see if we can accept their case. But with a civil restraining order, the judge could order the defendant to stay away from the other person, to stay away from your work, to stay away from the residence, could grant you temporary use of the residence. And very importantly, if you have children together, the court could grant you temporary custody of the children, temporary use of a vehicle, temporary child support, temporary spousal support. Because what we know is it takes about 7 times for a victim of domestic violence to successfully leave an abusive relationship. And we know there are many factors that go into that. And one of them, of course, is having children. So when you can get temporary custody of the children, that's definitely an important piece of the puzzle in terms of successfully leaving and getting that safety. And then we make referrals to other social service and legal service agencies. So if you need a divorce, or you want counseling, or you need housing, we work closely with the New Orleans Family Justice Center. We also work with Southeast Louisiana Legal Services, because we want to make sure everybody gets all of those needs served and addressed.
Now, how often do you see situations where the partner who's been abused wants to make it work, and they sincerely want to make it work? They love the person. They've gone through some things. There were better times. They want to get back to better times, but they want this to stop.
Right.
That feels like a really tough situation.
Right. And, we do see that fairly often, because, most of these relationships started with love and started at a place where, they wanted to be with that partner. And they, might have a family with that partner. So that can be really hard and frustrating. There are some situations, I'm sure, where abusers can get help if they're really willing to address the root issues, not just like put a Band-Aid on the issue, but really get to the root of why they are trying to control this other person. So maybe they've had childhood trauma. Maybe they've witnessed domestic violence growing up. So I think, there are situations if somebody's really willing to do the work. When people come to us, they're usually ready to get out of the relationship. Sometimes people do change their mind, and that's okay too. And, people might come back to us, and we're happy to work with them again. We do encourage everybody to get some counseling and to try to, like I said, kind of address the issues on both sides. But, yeah, they don't necessarily want to get the abuser in trouble or put him in jail. They want the abuse to stop. And, we've heard that even from domestic violence detectives when they go out to the home, because the number one 911 call in New Orleans is related to domestic violence. And so oftentimes victims say, I just want it to stop, like you said, because, they might love the person, but at some point they have to realize, I have to do this for myself and my kids to be safe.
So what can we, untrained, not a professional, don't have the experience that you and others have had, and we are absolutely certain that our friend is the abuser?
Wow.
We've gone to enough activities and events.
And seen it, yeah.
It's clear, but we're not law enforcement.
Right.
We don't work for Catholic Charities, but we want to do something. What can we do?
That's a good question. And I really appreciate the male perspective on that, because I really think men need to step in and help this issue and help address it. Because I think a lot of times if it comes from another man, they may receive that information better. Of course, you want to do it in a safe space. It might not be, in the middle of a party where, it's going to escalate, and try to approach the person in a non-judgmental manner. And this can go, I would say, for the abuser and the victim or survivor. It can be frustrating for friends and family members. I know, especially for someone in a domestic violence relationship, to try to constantly say, you need to get out, and you feel like they're not listening to you. Sometimes what happens is friends and family say, okay, I'm done with you. I can't deal with this anymore. But it's really important to keep that door open and to let that survivor know, I'm here. And when you're ready to get help, I'm going to help you. I'm going to stand by you. And that would be the same for someone who is committing the abuse, to say, look, I really want to help you find some resources, and address these issues, because I know you want to stay in this relationship. I know you love your family, but you need some help. And I think we need to call it out. And like I said, I appreciate that. And I feel like more men maybe need to get involved and address other men, because I think that dynamic is probably more successful.
So how can people get in touch with you and others at Project Save? What if somebody wants to help? They don't want to be paid. They just want to learn what to do and how to do it. How can they be in touch?
So our phone number is 504-310-6872. And you can give us a call. And, what I tell people all the time is we also are happy to talk to someone who, might not be ready to leave the relationship yet, but wants to know their options, wants to just maybe talk to somebody and see, what are the legal avenues that I could pursue? Am I in an abusive relationship? Where can I possibly go get counseling? So we're happy to talk to people and to give them that information, and to sit down and let them know what resources are available.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Allison Tuttle from Catholic Charities of New Orleans, Project Save. A lot of good information. I hope that you all will take this in the serious vein that it is, and actually consider the relationships that you have and that you see, and keep Project Save in mind. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us here at WBOK.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. You're listening to WBOK, 12:30 a.m. It is 7:49. You got to be there at 8 o'clock. Might want to get up and get going. Might be a little late punch-in at 8:02, depending on how far you got to go. But this is the Good Morning Show, WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
We're good?
Okay.
I dropped my earring behind your chair. Thank you.
Wow.
That That was great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
I really enjoyed talking with you.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's, like I said,
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
After 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Calvin Duncan established his innocence in a court of law. But Darren Lombard doesn't care about justice. He teamed up with Jeff Landry's attorney general to attack Calvin. They even sued him to stop him from talking about his innocence. According to Landry and Lombard, even if you're judged innocent, you're still guilty. Let's send Landry and Lombard a message. Vote number 7, Calvin Duncan.
Paid for by Calvin for clerk.
New Orleans is at a crossroad. We must force a runoff to protect our culture. A vote for Frank Janusa has a multiplier effect that can make it happen. Even Frank's opponents respect his ability to fix the city's budget.
I'm going to hire Mr. Janusa to go out there and get that money to close whatever the budget gap is.
If I get in there, I'm going to tell you one of the first people I'm going to call is going to be Mr. Frank Janusa to help me with these numbers.
Together, we can deliver economic opportunity for all. Let's restore New Orleans as the Queen City of the South. Paid for by the Frank Janusa mayoral campaign.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Orleans is facing a $100 million budget deficit, but where was Helena Moreno, the candidate who promises to be a 24/7 mayor? She missed 60% of the city council's budget committee meetings. That's not leadership, that's negligence. Now our city is broke and the people are paying the price. Helena Moreno talks about being everywhere, but when it mattered most, she was nowhere to be found. New Orleans deserves a leader who shows up. Helena Moreno, 24/7 Talk. 60% no-show, paid for by people for a better New Orleans.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m. Well, that was quite the conversation with Allison Tuttle, attorney and director of Catholic Charities of New Orleans, Project SAVE, talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month and all of the things that we might want to know and things to look out for. When we see relationships of whatever kind that might be off a bit or off a lot, and particularly if there is physical, mental abuse involved. Very helpful to hear from Ms. Tuttle about what is domestic abuse and some things that we can consider doing if we suspect that some folks we know, folks we love, are victims, or maybe they are abusers. If you've got something to add, the talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We're going to be coming up on the 8 o'clock hour in a bit, and going to have some special surprises for you in the 8 o'clock hour, so you're going to want to stay tuned. And one of those surprises will be very much tied to campaigns and elections and registration and all of that, so that we'll get some inside information, and we'll also have a special guest. I'm anticipating that we'll have a special guest, so we'll see what happens with that. You know, before we got in a conversation with Ms. Tuttle, we were talking about the state police responding to Karen Lacey's attorney, which was based on the video that so many of us saw, where it certainly seems like Karen Lacey had absolutely nothing to do with this accident that he was accused of causing to kill 78-year-old Herman Hall in December of 2024. His car never collided with others, but the police say that his reckless driving caused a chain of events that led to the crash. So that crash happened in December of 2024. The next month, Lacey, 24 at the time, turned himself in to the state police on charges of negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. He was a transfer student athlete from the University of Louisiana Lafayette, the SEC co-leader for receiving yards during the 2024 season, and transferred to LSU, where he was doing an outstanding job and was had the eyes of NFL people from all over the place looking at him, and it appeared that he was definitely destined for a tremendous NFL future. He was set to go before a grand jury in a short few months after that, in April, and that did not happen because he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Houston. So he lost his life. He took his life, and the attorney representing Lacey has continued to claim his innocence from the beginning. And the video that he has pointed to appears to show that Mr. Lacey was somewhere between 70 to 100 yards away from that accident. Yet in the video that the state police released, it appears that there are witnesses who are saying that Lacey, not by name, but that young man was responsible for the accident. One of the things that happened on Monday, so this was the day before yesterday, was the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus demanded an independent investigation into the state police handling of the case. Another thing that happened was the Louisiana Democratic Party called for an investigation, and the NAACP called for the resignation of the state police colonel. So this situation is moving along very quickly, but the release of 11 minutes of surveillance and body camera footage by the Louisiana State Police seems to have slowed down some of the thinking about what might have happened since it's additional information that was not provided previously. Attorney General Liz Murrow said the findings support accusations of Lacey being responsible for the crash, but added that she is continuing to review the case. So that's a little different from saying reviewing the case and people saying clearly he was innocent. Now the AG is saying there seems to be some level of responsibility, but she's going to continue to review the case. And that is according to my colleague Aidan McHale at the Advocate. So we'll be following that story and seeing what's going to be happening with that. It is 8 o'clock right here at WBOK 1230 a.m., the Good Morning Show. If you've got somewhere to be at 8 o'clock, you are late. You're late. And it's hump day, hump day, hump day. And we got a couple more days to go in the week. And you got a day to get through today. If you got somewhere to be by 8:15, 8:20, 8:30, you're probably in better shape than many. Keep in mind, watch out for the babies. Drive according to the speed limits and drive safely. Coming up after the break, we've got a surprise for you. We're going to talk about all things registration in Orleans Parish with Lisa Manning Bridges. Yes, sir. Ms. Bridges is in the studio, in the building, and she's going to be talking with us about some things that maybe you haven't been thinking about, but I'm sure you're going to want to know. You're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he may invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy the military in cities run by Democrats.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason.
He told reporters he'd use the 1807 law if necessary, citing court blocks and rising violence. The act was last used during the 1992 LA riots. Outgoing New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is proposing $74 million in new taxes and fees to balance next year's budget. The hike includes sales tax increases and higher fines for parking and permits. Furloughs aren't planned, but hiring remains frozen. And a black 7-year-old girl from Evansville, Indiana has died after collapsing at an after-school program. Staff called 911 and tried to revive Precious Lewis, but she didn't survive. Her family is now searching for answers about what caused her sudden death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 a.m. The talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. You got something on your mind, you got a question, you got something to say, you want to add to the conversation. And as my daddy used to say decades ago, if you got a question, I'll try to give you an answer. But if I can't give you an answer, I'll give you a response. And we'll try to find out the answer to your question. It is 8:04 a.m. and want to say good morning to Lisa Manning Bridges.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome back to WBOK.
Thank you.
But welcome to WBOK Orleans Parish Registrar Lisa Manning Bridges. Your first time in your new role at WBOK.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we are happy to have you here. And, Registrar of Voters is one of those jobs that people, they know it's important, but they might not really know what you do. But before we get into that, who your mama and them? For the 2-3 people, they haven't, they don't remember Lisa Bridges from the last time or from seeing her out at any number of events or at church. Who your mama and them? Where you come from? Where you went to school?
I'm born uptown in 17th Ward.
All right, 17th.
Pigeon Town or P-Town, depending on how old you are, or Pension Town. And I went to Mater Della Rosa, went to Sophie B. Wright, and then I attended Destrehan High.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. So, born, bred, raised right here.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So, what was your path to lead to being the registrar? What was life like before you got into this job, so important to what we do with registration and voting and getting people engaged? But what was life for you before then? I know some of it, but I want you to tell people from your perspective what you've been doing before you were registrar.
Well, prior to becoming registrar, I worked in the background on a lot of different campaigns, of course. I've worked on the board with League of Women Voters, IWO, Coalition of 100 Black Women. Then I've worked for Congressman Richmond. Before he was congressman, he was state rep. I was his legislative aide. Then I worked with him in Congress, worked with Congressman Carter, Donna Glapion as her chief deputy in First City Court, and now I'm here. It was strictly God.
So, been around the block a few times.
Yes.
Seen a few things.
Yes.
All right. So, when did the idea of Orleans Parish Registrar come into your mind?
Actually, after Dr. Wilson retired, and I thought about it, I prayed on it. A few people mentioned it to me as well, say, I think this would be a great thing. But of course, I had to pray on it, and I prayed on it, and I got my answer from God, and then I put my name in.
So what were you thinking when you put your name in? Why would you want to do this job?
Because I've really been active in voter registration, voting services. My grandmother, my grandfather was active in the civil rights movement. So they told me all about things that they went through, especially the bus boycott. My grandmother explaining how she was walking with boils on her feet, but she refused to get on the bus during the boycott. And so it was things like that, and how voter apathy, I don't understand why we don't have people that you registered, please vote. And so that's something I wanted to look at and change, hopefully, by getting people not just registered to vote, but actually exercising that power that you have by being registered.
So let's talk some more about the Registrar of Voters office and what you all do. But let's start with something that I think often confuses people. They're not sure what's the difference between what the clerk does and what the Registrar of Voters does. What's that distinction?
So our clerk, he is over all the elections with the exception of early voting. Early voting is mine. And but he maintains the machines. He makes sure his machines get to where they have to go. He does all that. My early voting piece is just getting out the early vote, making sure that people know the 4 locations that I have, and I also handle absentee voting.
Okay. So tell us more about what does a Registrar of Voters do when there's not an election?
When there's not
an election, there's no campaigning, and you're going to the office and making calls and doing emails and reading reports and looking at data. What are you doing? Who are you working with?
We have lots to do. We have a whole team, and my staff, I have a great team of people. We are updating death reports. We're updating HAVA reports to help Americans vote. We're putting people in who may have gone to DMV to register, and DMV sends us that information, and we're putting them into the system. We're making sure that they're placed in. We're updating felon reports. If we get a felon report from either Department of Corrections, DA's office, or wherever, criminal court, then those have to be updated as well. And we send out challenges to make sure that that person knows, okay, you're put in as a felon. It could be a mistake. So if it is a mistake, you can come and correct it. Same thing with the death reports. You can put it in, someone can make a mistake. It could be
they could say, I'm dead.
They could say you're dead. You come with your paper and say, no, here I am.
I'm not dead.
You got the wrong one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we send a challenge out to make sure that person knows you were put in as deceased. So it's a lot that goes on. We are also, if there are changes anywhere with precincts or anything like that, we have to go over those if there's to make sure the boundaries are correct. If there's a special assessment that's coming up, we have to make sure the correct people are getting ballots regarding that special assessment. So it's a lot that goes on. And then usually in the summer, there's Canvas. And Canvas is where we are verifying addresses for all the voters. So if you gave us one address and the post office gave us another address, we have to send something to both to determine which one is correct. And both may be correct, but you just let us know which one you want to use.
So people do move.
They move. Yes.
People do move. I as I think about it, it's like I've moved quite a number of times. And I didn't always change my address with the register of voters.
Correct.
So I guess that's part of what you're looking at.
Correct.
Is, how much time do you have to change your voter registration once you move or thinking about moving? Should you, trying to make that a part of your moving set of plans, or is it okay to wait for a while?
If you're moving in parish, it's not as crucial, but it is very important that we know where you are because, like I said, we have people who move in parish and they want to use mama's address, but they don't want to use, but they moved to an apartment and they don't want to use that address.
Is that okay?
That is okay. However, now if you have a homestead exemption because you bought a house, we need to use that address.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So that's a lot of work. Let's touch on that felon piece. So somebody could be identified as a felon and they're not a felon, or they're not identified as a felon and they should be identified as a felon.
Usually it's the, we get the information from DOC or, like I said, the criminal court. The person is a felon. Anyone incarcerated that is not a felon can still vote. As a matter of fact, as of tomorrow, we'll be going to the OPP to go, well, not OPP anymore, Orleans Justice Center to go and vote.
I think some people aren't aware of that.
Yes,
that just because
Orleans
you
Justice
are behind bars for whatever reason and circumstance, you're not giving up your right to vote. You just can't get up and go vote.
Right. You can let us know. You can mail in, you can send in an application to get an absentee ballot. We'll mail it to you, and you can mail it back to us. We're going there tomorrow for first-time voters because first-time voters have to vote in person. So we'll go there, and I believe we have 11 or 12 first-time voters.
Wonderful. Well, good for them.
Yes, who want to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So we will go there to make sure that they're able to cast their vote. Once we get the felon list, we will also, like I said, send out a challenge, just letting them know we received it in case it's wrong. If it's wrong, they can come in and they can straighten that out with us.
Okay. So you mentioned absentee voting.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we stand since we have an election on Saturday? Where do we stand with absentee voting? So I'm not talking about early voting, going out to, I'm talking about the absentee voting. Can somebody still vote by absentee?
They have until Friday, 4:30 p.m. to get their ballots in our office. Not postmarked, but in our office.
When's the last time they can request it?
It was yesterday.
Oh, you're out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of luck.
But there's still a lot of ballots out there.
But any idea how many ballots we have out?
We mailed out approximately 14,000.
What?
And
14,000 were requested?
Correct.
Wow.
And we received around 4,800.
Whoa. So if those people requested those ballots, more likely than not, they intend to vote.
Yes. And some people will request a ballot and still come in to early vote. Some people say they like to just make sure that they're using their ballot. And we'll tell them to destroy the mail-in ballot that they have if they decide to do that. Because the system
so they can use it as a backup.
Yeah, they can use it as a backup. The system will tell us when they come to early vote that they have a ballot out there already. And we'll make sure to tell them, destroy that ballot. If they happen to forget and mail it in, we have a back way to catch it.
So that 14,000 requested number of absentee ballots, how's that compare? Any idea how that compares to previous years, previous elections?
Generally, we do around 13, 14 each year because they could either be on the 65 program, the elderly,
Yep.
Or the disabled, or if you're in the hospital, you can request it. You're out of town, you can request it. So we'll generally do around that number.
Okay. And
so that's about the same.
Okay. So, and you got about 4,800 in. All right. So if you usually do 11, 12, 14,000 requested, of that number, how many usually come in? I'm guessing
Around
it's not
7.
all of them.
No. Around 7. I think one of the last I can remember is around 7,000, close to around 7,000, 7,100, something like that.
All right. And how's this number looking for us at 4,800 at this point for this particular election? Is that a low number, a good number, a high number?
It's good. That was as of Saturday. However, each day we are getting trays of ballots in. Yesterday Monday we got 2 trays of ballots. Yesterday we had 1 tray of ballots. So today I'll see what we get in.
Wow. And so those trays of ballots can come in every day through Friday at 4:30.
Correct.
And then
the post office delivers them. People come in and hand deliver them.
And when you say come in, is that to Perdido?
Perdido Street.
Is that the only place they can go?
No, they can go to Perdido Street, or they can go to our Algiers Courthouse location, 225 Morgan Street in room 105.
Okay, so those 2 locations are the
hand
places
deliver.
where those of you who requested 14,000 absentee ballots and you're not among the 4,800 as of Saturday, you can get it back to Algiers Courthouse or to City Hall.
Correct.
By 4:30 on Wednesday.
On Friday.
On Friday. I'm sorry. On Wednesday.
Yes.
On Friday. I'm sorry. I'm thinking today
Yes.
is Wednesday. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, we want to know some more about the early voting, of course. But right now we've got a call from a regular, Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, welcome. You're on the line with Lisa Manning Bridges, our registrar.
Good morning and welcome, Ms. Bridges, and good morning to the audience.
Good morning.
I want to ask a question pertaining to the assistance of while in the ballot box. If a person is unable to, do whatever needs to be done, has the rule changed that anybody could help that person as long as you're registered to assist a person, say, for instance, a blind person or somebody who may not necessarily be able to read or use their hands or what have you?
So you're talking about at the polling location?
At the polling location,
Okay.
whether it was early or on the day of election, is that voter allowed to have someone to help, not necessarily someone from the household? I understand something had changed, that the person who is assisting has to be living in the household of the person who's voting. Is that so?
No, ma'am. Anyone you bring with you, they can help you. And they don't have to be a registered voter or anything. It's someone, we don't even ask that question. If that person's with you and you want them to help you, that's perfectly fine. If you come by yourself and you need, and let's assume, like you said, if you're blind, or there is an audio component that will read. So if you're by yourself and you need that, you can ask for it. It's an audio component that's already set up on one of the machines, and it will read the examples to you, your candidates, and it will help you select.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I wish that would be said more, if anybody who comes on and talk about it, this should be throughout the year, not just during the election time.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it up, Ms. Jones. You're always on top of things and bringing things to our attention that we might need to be reminded of, and asking good questions so we can get some good information.
And one more thing, I know they'll probably never put it back in a school system, but we really need to, all over the city, all over the state, and in the country for that matter, form groups to encourage all year round for people to become registered voters, because gone are the days with civics and U.S. history in the schools. It's gone.
All right. We hear you. We hear you. Well, thank you so much for calling. You have a blessed day.
You too.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Jones. All right. So, early voting. What's been going on?
Everyone that I've come across has been energized. They are coming out. They are enthusiastic about voting. So the crowds at City Hall were just wonderful. And when I say they came in, very few people needed assistance, of course, or was asking questions. But most of them knew exactly who they were voting for. They got it done and moved on. And it was a quick process. We had a full staff. Along with my staff, we had someone from Secretary of State, 2 people from Secretary of State came down to assist to make sure everything ran smoothly. And it was great.
So, how long were the lines, or was it just steady and not lines? Did many people come to City Hall more on the weekdays versus on Saturday? What was that like?
The largest days were the 2 Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
The other days were steady. We had lines, especially the first Saturday, because we had 2 second lines and a bike group that came through. So we did have lines, and they weren't all together, right? I understand a bike crew also went to the warehouse location.
Okay.
But so we had lines. They were not all at one time, but we had lines. And then each morning we had lines because we had early morning people who wanted to come earlier. There's one guy, I think he said he got there at 6:45, even though he knew it opened at 8:30.
Wow, I hope he had something to eat.
He did. He said he went and got breakfast and came back.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So how was that City Hall traffic this early election period compared to others, just at City Hall?
Well, I wasn't there for the earlier ones.
Right.
But from what I'm understanding, it was a lot better, only because we also advertised that there was free parking.
That was very
at
helpful.
City,
Yeah.
At City Hall during early voting. So it was 3 blocks of free parking, and the parking division was out there making sure people who were parking were actually going to vote, and not parking and leaving, going somewhere else because you see, oh, it's free parking.
Right.
But so that a lot of people were really thankful for that because they didn't have to worry about where to park or paying for parking. And the lines, like I said, they kept flowing, and everybody just seemed like they were ready to do it.
So was that true at the other early voting locations?
Yes, they had a great turnout as well. City Hall was third. Lake Vista was first place as it related to
Number of voters.
Mm-hmm. And then the warehouse was second, and City Hall third, and Algiers was fourth.
Wow. So what were those numbers like? Give us some detail about the exciting, because this was historic, right?
Yeah, it's the numbers were greater than the 2017 numbers, and that was shocking, but I welcomed it.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a good thing. So give us some details.
So City Hall, we had 6,966. Where was Spanish Fort, Lake Vista, we had 11,039. Chef Mentor, we had 11,036. And then,
that's close.
Yeah, really close.
Okay.
And then Algiers, we had 4,921.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any information about who came out to vote? I mean, do we know anything about their parties or genders or their neighborhoods or wards or anything like that?
I do not have that.
Okay.
I just know that candidates must have really reached their base and got their base out because they were coming out in droves.
Right.
At times we had little groups, like pockets of, and you knew who they were because you had to tell them, oh, you got to take off your shirt.
Right. Right.
Other than that, we had little pockets of people coming in to vote and making sure it was done. They wanted to get it done early. And then we had those that early vote all the time. Some people say that regardless, they love to early vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's the easiest way to get it done.
So what about the percentage of the total registered votes? Any idea what percentage of people voted early among those who are registered?
I want to say I was told around 13, maybe
Mm-hmm.
percent
Okay.
of registered voters early voted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay. And based on what we've seen here, what does that tell you about what we might anticipate Saturday?
well, I'm always hoping for 100%, but that's not
Right.
So Saturday, I'm thinking more of maybe 25% total
Mhm.
with early vote and people who come out. If it keeps up the way it's been, people
Mhm.
have really been like ready to vote. We've had a couple of people come since early voting ended trying to early vote.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yes.
All right, we got a call. Reverend Calhoun, good morning. You're on the line with Registrar Lisa Manning Bridges.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
My question is, when will those voters be counted? When do you count the votes before Saturday, or all votes counted after Saturday?
All votes are counted on Saturday night.
Okay. So then, there's no way to know if somebody got more votes before the Saturday now counts than before.
So you would like to know who got the most votes in which particular race from the early voting? Is that what we're after, Reverend Calhoun?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
No, Reverend Calhoun, there's no way to know before Saturday night. They
All
are
right, then.
sealed. They are locked. They will not be counted till Saturday night.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Calhoun. Have a blessed day. All right. So people want to know the details, but some details we can't know because we're not supposed to know.
We're not supposed
Not
to know.
supposed to know.
No.
And so your one set of votes did count if you got out for early voting or if you cast a mail ballot. And sometimes we say each your vote, but in a case like this, I like to recognize that we're voting
whole
in
set.
separate, different elections.
Correct.
It's all on the same day, all on the same ballot, but it's not just that one vote. You get
Correct.
to vote, and you can choose not to vote for something, but I would hope that anything that's on the ballot that you exercise your right and vote each time for whoever or on whatever.
Correct.
So what else did we learn from early voting?
Early voting. We learned that some people still need to be reminded to bring your IDs to vote. So if you don't have an ID or you don't have LA Wallet, you can still vote with an affidavit. And we have the affidavits there, and it's just saying who you are. You're signing it that you are who you say you are, and you're still allowed to vote.
So what does that process look like? So let's say I know I'm registered. I lost my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been freaking out, but it's election day. I want to vote. What do I do?
And you don't have your LA Wallet?
I don't have LA Wallet. I've been meaning to do it. I never did it.
Never did it.
Okay, what happens?
You come in and you tell us, I don't have my ID, I don't have LA Wallet, I'm here to vote. They're going to give you an affidavit. You fill out the affidavit, and that's it. That takes a little more time than just having your ID, but you'll still be able to vote.
So the people who get an affidavit saying I am who I am, do they get to go in the booth and do it, or do they have to fill it out on paper?
They fill
ballot?
it out on paper.
Mhm.
Over to the side. We'll put you to the side to fill it out on paper so that we can keep the line going. Once you're finished, put you back in, and then you go right on into your booth to vote.
Okay. Anything else we learned from early voting this year?
Other than that, that's it. It's just, that people need to really look at the Go Vote app, govote.com, so you can see your sample ballot. There were some changes to council districts and precincts, so someone thought...
That's about 5,000, right?
About 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And some people thought I should be voting for this person, not this person. This person should be on my ballot. But then once we explained it to them, they understood. There was a mail out that went out explaining that to all who were affected. I'm not sure if it got made it to the trash or not, or if it's just tucked away in the mail, like some of my things.
Mhm.
But there was a mail out that said your council district changed.
How
or
long
it
ago did that go
changes.
out?
That went out, should have been about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And the change takes effect January of 2026.
So, on your ballot, where you live at your polling station, you would be voting for, if you're not in District B,
Mhm.
you would be voting, well, actually in District B too, I guess.
Mhm.
You would be voting for a council member who will represent you
January.
based on the changes, not the person who represented you or the vacancy in where you are currently
Correct.
registered.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Were all city council districts affected that way, or just
A through D.
A through D? So E remained the same.
Yes.
A through D, there's
Had
some
some
changes, but not everyone
Yeah,
was
not
changed.
everyone.
Okay. Which district had the most changes?
I'm thinking C and D,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not exactly sure, but I believe it was C and D had the
Okay.
most changes.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question you might not have the answer to, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's see. All right, so which neighborhoods or streets were most effective by this change? So I'm not asking for a list of 32, just to kind of give people some idea of.
That I do not have.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right, no problem, no problem. All right, so again, for Saturday's election day, we've got the registrar of voters here, Lisa Manning Bridges. What else can our listeners do to prepare to vote if they did not vote in the early voting period? If they have a approved mail ballot, so they missed the deadline if they want to get one, but they have it.
Mhm.
What is the deadline and how can they get that in? Should they put it in the mail or should they drop it off? Can they do it online with the mail ballot? And then for Saturday, what do they do to be prepared?
Okay. If you have an absentee ballot and you feel comfortable dropping it in the mail, thinking it's going to make it to us by Friday at 4:30, do so. If you're a little leery, bring it down to City Hall or to the Algiers Algiers Courthouse so that we can receive it before Friday at 4:30. To prepare for Saturday, make sure you go to www.govote.com. Look at your sample ballot so that you can bring a copy of it with you to vote. Print it, so make your selections, and then when you go into the voting booth on Saturday, you'll be prepared and you'll be in and out in no time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Bridges. Thank you for coming in to WBLK, your
Thank you
first
for having
visit
me.
as
Yes.
our official Orleans Parish Registrar. A lot of good information. I hope you all were listening, and if you needed to take notes, I hope you took some notes. The big takeaways I got is mail ballots must be received no later than 4:30 p.m. on Friday, and it's too late to get one, so there are 14,000 of those out, but 4,800 were received as of a few days ago, so a bunch of you all have them. And on Saturday, Election Day, make sure you have your identification. If you don't have it, be sure to ask for an affidavit. And otherwise, make sure you know what's on your ballot before you go so you can make the most efficient use of your time and of the poll commissioner's time as well.
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. WBLK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets. We've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBLK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow WBLK 1230 now.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
After 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Calvin Duncan established his innocence in a court of law. But Darren Lombard doesn't care about justice. He teamed up with Jeff Landry's attorney general to attack Calvin. They even sued him to stop him from talking about his innocence. According to Landry and Lombard, even if you're judged innocent, you're still guilty. Let's send Landry and Lombard a message. Vote number 7, Calvin Duncan.
Paid for by Calvin for Clerk.
You're invited to step back into New Orleans history for Community Day at the Dewdrop Inn with Tulane University's special collections, presented by the Primo Memorial Series. Saturday, October 18th from 12 to 2 p.m. Celebrate the Dewdrop Inn legacy with the live musical show. Enjoy a brunch buffet and explore archival materials. Free admission, but space is limited. For more information, visit library.tulane.edu/Dewdrop Community Day.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and it is 8:52. I almost said 7:52. That would have been a big problem for a lot of you guys. It's 8:52 AM, so you've got a few minutes to be there if you got to be there for 9. And, of course, there are school zones in operation. We want to be safe as you're out and about driving the speed limit and paying attention to school zone speed limits as well. We have always lots going on, and particularly the big campaigns in the city of New Orleans. But we've got some breaking news that just came across the desk. Apparently, the New Orleans Police Department, investigating a double homicide that happened, or at least was discovered, not that long ago in the 14700 block of Chefman Tour. So that happened while we were on air, and the officers have responded. They found a man and a woman, both suffering from gunshot wounds. We don't know any specifics about the location or the circumstances, type of gun, age of the victims, anything like that. But that is an ongoing investigation and breaking news for you to be aware of, and take a look and watch for those developments today. We also want to make sure that we are paying attention to the things that are going on with the campaign, of course. And there's one thing that we want to do with weather is pay attention to what's happening out in the oceans. Right now, we don't have anything that is anywhere close to the Gulf Coast, but there is a new tropical storm. This one is named Jerry. Yep, Tropical Storm Jerry. This is the expected to be the 5th hurricane of this year, and it is headed toward the Leeward Islands, and that's according to the National Hurricane Center. They announced that, again, since we've been on the air. Jerry is about 835 miles southeast of the northern Leeward Islands, and the winds are about 50 miles per hour, moving west-northwest. Well, that means that it is not likely to come this way, but there are tropical storm watches in effect for a number of Caribbean islands as of this morning. So if you have some relatives and friends in the islands, particularly over Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, you might want to check in with them and see what's going on with Jerry and what their plans are. We expect Jerry over the weekend and in the beginning of the week to make a northeastern turn into the open water, which means that it would not be coming our way. But ladies and gentlemen, it is still hurricane season. So hurricane season won't end until November. It is October. So often we think about Labor Day as the end of hurricane season. It is not. So make sure that you are paying attention and that you have your plans together. I know I've got to stock up on my water again and make sure that we have what we need to take care of things if there are serious storms coming our way. We also have in the news something that appears to be a bit disturbing, not in the context of human injury or death, but there are a couple of well-known skyscrapers in downtown New Orleans, the Hancock Whitney Center and the 400 Poydras Street building, that it seems are now in default on their debt. So they are in default on their debt. And so this is on top of Shell Oil preparing to vacate its offices where it's been for a long time in the Hancock Whitney Center and locating over to the new River District headquarters scheduled to open in early 2027. So that would mean that those big buildings in downtown New Orleans would be vacated of the current occupants. A lot of employees would be going elsewhere or maybe losing their jobs, depending on what the plans are. So we'll want to be paying attention to that. Those of you who work in or near those buildings, let us know what you know about that.
Have you heard the secret of what New Orleans is talking